What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We are playing some more King Arthur Legends Rise. Now, this is a sponsored video, so shout out to Netmarble for sponsoring the video. And if you'd like to join us in the fun that is King Arthur, you can download the game using the link in my description as well as the pinned comment. Helps me out a ton. Today, we're going to be talking about the equipment dungeon. I'm going to be showing you all the team that I am running on 10 right here is Yskalhaig, right? I think that's how you say it. I'm running a marked team and it actually works very effectively. This is the lineup here. We're going with Merlin. We got Jillian in there helping us out with some turn meter boost, well, attack gauge boost. We're doing big damage with Irit, and we've got Sigrun helping us out with Mark. Now, I'll show you guys the gear and all that stuff and just talk a bit about why we are using the champs. So Merlin, first up, we are using him for his captain aura, if you will, here, because he's going to allow us to get damage taken decreased on us, or just we're going to take less damage by 10%. One thing that was a bit confusing for me that I can't really find anywhere, and the wording is different, but I have actually noticed a difference when I put Irit in lead, because it says that she has damage taken decrease 15% here. There's no arrow pointing down or anything. I'm not sure, you know, the difference between what she and Merlin does, but we're gonna be using Merlin in lead for that reason, and primarily he's just going to be using his skill 2 the entire time because we want Frozen Remains up. And what Frozen Remains is going to do is allow us to get more attack gauge charge. So we're getting attack gauge charge from him. We're getting attack gauge charge from Jillian. It's going to help us to just keep cycling through our turns, because until the buffs drop off of the boss is going to be moving pretty fast. But we're running Mark. Once we get 3 marks up, and that is what Sigrun is in there to help us do. Once we get 3 marks up, all the buffs that the boss has is going to flip and turn into debuffs, and we'll get buff disruption, so the boss won't get any more buffs, and then it's a pretty fast run from there. So Sigrun is in there to help us out to get these marks up. As far as the gear, I'll show you guys the gear as I'm talking, I guess. So let's actually go back to Merlin's gear really quickly. I don't want this to be too long-winded. He is in vigor and accuracy at the moment, 183 speed. He does have some effect accuracy as well, so that he can make sure we are landing Frozen Remain. As far as Sigrun's gear, she is in crit and accuracy. It's not ideal. I would like to just put her in like vigor or inaccuracy, or maybe attack inaccuracy, because she actually does some pretty big damage. She's at 177 speed. She's got some okay crit rate. We're gonna get a boost of crit rate from Irit because her passive places it on all serpents favor allies, so we're going to get a boost in crit rate there. A little bit of effect accuracy as well to make sure that we're landing our marks. And she also lands damage dealt decrease 2 for 2 turns here on her skill 3, which hits pretty hard. The multiplier on this skill 3 is actually really good, so I do want to invest a bit more into her. Everybody's not fully skilled up and things like that max yet. I do have Chivalry 4 on her at the moment. I believe Merlin is only at Shiv 2. We can move on to the primary champion in the comp, Irit, who I actually do have at Shiv 8. So she's going to be smacking for us, doing some big damage. As far as her gear, and I do have quite a bit of you know, skills into her relics as well as her passive, but as far as her gear, we have Strife down here, we have an attack set, and we have a damage set. I'm considering swapping to full damage set on her, because she is going to, you know, boost her attack. She's going to boost her crit rate as well as her crit damage. She does gain buffs throughout the fight. She's at 186 speed. I do need to swap this. I swapped the speed off her because it was throwing off some of the tune in some of my other comps, but I did have a speed orb. She was running around 206 speed before, but I had to slow her down a bit actually. So these are the total stats. She's just under 5k attack, decent speed, decent crit. Ideally, I would want to get her to 60% crit. That's like a good sweet spot for her, because she is going to place buffs on herself, so she's going to get critical rate increase 2, which will help us out with the crit, effect accuracy increase, as well as crit damage increase. So she is going to be doing all of the damage for us, and yeah, Sigrun will do some damage as well. As far as Jillian, is super zoomed in on her right now. I'm not sure why, but she is going to be dropping turn meter and providing some heals for us. So she's going to be knocking down the attack gauge. If you look at her passives, she is going to be able to knock back attack gauge of like a random enemy, as well as charge our attack gauge. So we're getting, like I said before, attack gauge charge from her and Merlin. Going to be reducing some attack gauge as well on the side, the wings and those things. You can't knock back the attack gauge of the boss. I believe he has immunity. As far as her gear, she's just in vigor and accuracy. Same build as Merlin. Vigor, accuracy, because you want her to be able to knock back the attack gauge. So you are going to need accuracy on her. I don't have much. 61 is not bad. It's kind of slow on the slower side. 170 speed, okay HP, but that's pretty much the bare bones of it. You just need to be going fast enough, take enough turns, have enough accuracy so that you can land your debuffs, knock back the attack gauge, all that good stuff. So I'm going to show you guys a run here. If you're running on repeat battle, you definitely want to be prioritizing the boss here. Some places you don't want to prioritize the boss because the boss will have like damage immunity, things like that when you're in the Sill Temple, various other places. But it's a pretty quick run depending on, what happens. I'm glad they fixed Irit's passives with her, boosting her attack gauge and whatnot. It was much needed. I'm glad they actually got to that quickly. But we're going to get through this first wave pretty fast. We could do it even faster if maybe we drop Jillian out of the comp and bring in someone like Ein to give us some buffs at the start. So here we go. We're at the boss, and I'm going to slow it down for a second here because right now we have 2 marks up on the boss right now. Once we get that 3rd mark up, which we should be getting soon from Sigrun, all of those buffs are just going to flip, and we're going to get buff disruption. So Frozen Remains is going up right there. And also another thing to note is this first notch of health here, you kind of want to get and see marks are falling off, but it's fine. You kind of want to get that down within the first like few hits. That way you can get rid of that first, wing or arm before it actually takes a turn. So you don't want these bodies, the tails, to take a turn because they're going to be giving the boss buffs. That's all they're there to do, is buff up the boss. So we want to make sure that we can knock down to these marks here. There's one here, and then there's another here. We didn't even flip the buffs that time. We didn't even get 3 marks up at a time that time to even flip the buff. So I guess I'll run it again just to see if it happens. It usually happens. It usually don't just, kill the boss, but I guess we got lucky there. So back again for another round, and I'm just going to let it auto because it works full auto very well. As you see, Frozen Remains getting put up. Minus 300 there, dropping turn meter from Jillian so we can come back around. We get 300 there because we're hitting into Frozen Remains. So we're getting boosted. We're getting our attack gauge boosted. So we get 1 mark up there. We got 1 mark right now. Let's see if we can get to 3, and if we can even get to this first notch before the front leg takes a turn. No, it looks like the front leg is going to take a turn, so the boss gets a ton of buffs. But the good thing about Sigrun is when she gets hit, she has an opportunity to place mark. And now she just placed damage dealt decrease on the boss. We have 2 marks up right now, and the boss should smack us, and we should get another mark up. So the boss is about to take a turn. One of the marks is going to drop off. Sigrun's passive not proccing right now. Kind of annoying, not going to lie. But the delay here, so once the boss does get buffs, now everything has switched. So we had our 3 marks up. All the evasion rate increases, the damage taken decrease, all of those buffs that the boss had have switched now. They've switched to the negative effect, and now you can just pretty much erase the boss. So it's from here, it's like pretty quick. We got buff disruption up. The boss can't get any buffs right now. It's a very safe run. It's a very safe comp. We're not taking a ton of damage either because, you know, Merlin's helping us out with that, because we get a buff as well from hitting into frozen remains. We get damage taken minus 20% every time that we hit into frozen remains. So another benefit of having Merlin in there placing frozen remains. And I find myself using him on more and more bosses, as you know, I need damage mitigation, because you get the attack gauge boost and the damage mitigation from that. It's actually a very strong skill to have. And I pulled his flame relic recently, but man, just having this frozen remains, the ability to potentially revive, I don't really need the revive much. There isn't too many places where I've found it necessary. You could use it in arena, but if he doesn't land the freezes on the revive, your team pretty much just gets killed again anyway. And this AoE freeze, I don't have any skills into it, so 35% chance is pretty low. 55% chance would be a ton better, but Merlin pretty solid for bosses. Any boss you need to, you know, get a boost and get some damage mitigation. I just try him out in Tarask as well. He's pretty solid there because you definitely want to be boosting your attack gauge as much as possible and mitigating the damage, because that boss definitely smacks. So that is the team, guys. That is, you know, how easy it is to use Mark. I've definitely tried using Sarah, because Sarah does have the ability to place buff disruption with her skill 1. The issue is you have to have it booked. I don't have it booked at the moment, not fully booked. I could actually try and get it, but oh, look at that, it's booked now. If you're working on this dungeon at all, definitely if you could book Sarah, that's going to be the easiest thing to do for sure. It requires less, right? It requires less, because now you just bring in a DPS, someone to buff, potentially someone to heal you other than Sarah, so you can just prior her skill 1. But I like the Mark team. It's a pretty fun team for me. It's a safe team, it's reliable. But that's going to be all for this one though, guys. Hopefully this helped you out. Let me know in the comments down below the teams that you are using in here to farm the boss, and if you're, you know, speed running. And I definitely, you know, I'm interested in seeing all that good stuff. But be sure to download the game using the link in my description as well as the pinned comment, and I will see you guys on the next one.